affirmation apparel is available in the Choose store at www.tvivmn.com. Choose what you need as often as you need it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of I.C.E, which stands for Inspire, Collaborate, and Encourage. Originally, I didn't have a topic for this week, and I have a little guest. This is Asia Grace. But a couple of people talked to me and said, we think you should still do your podcast today, and you should talk about your journey. And it kind of goes hand in hand a little bit with May being Mental Health Awareness Month. My journey very much is partly mental health, partly physical health. And Asia, if I put you down, can you behave? She just needs some lovin's from mom. So anyway, I decided that sure, I would come on. I am now 6 months out from gastric bypass surgery. And that was a huge step. My journey started, well, I've been overweight my entire adult life. When I became pregnant with my son, Blake, I didn't know, but I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. And one of the things with that is that when you get pregnant, you gain a lot of weight, and it's very difficult to take off. So after I had him, I gained 85 pounds with him. Not his fault at all. I didn't know that I should be watching certain things, and I wasn't really educated because I was really young. Hello. If you're coming in, don't forget to say hi. And I now have my chat up so I can see if anyone says hi to me. Anyway, I was a young mom. I had Blake when I was 21, and I had gained 85 pounds. And then, through life circumstances and things like that, depression was kind of a thing for a while. Had some situational depression, and I've always had mild seasonal depression. Mental health is something that is prominent in my family. My mom had she was bipolar. So she would either be like flying high or she would be really down, and it was all up and down. And so those things run in my family. So it's just what it is. And I encourage anyone who's dealing with that, advocate for yourself. Go to therapy. Do what you need to do. There's no shame in being on medication, seeking therapy, talking about what's bothering you. It very much can be a chemical thing in your brain. And actually here a few months ago, I had gotten off of some of my medications that were kind of acting as the antidepressant component. So I was missing that, and it was still winter, and I had the blahs. And so I asked to go back on just a really low dose of something. So anyway, we'll back up a little bit. I gained a bunch of weight when I was pregnant, and then it just never came off. And even though I've always been super busy and super focused on work and things, the weight just wouldn't budge. And I ended up gaining quite a bit, and it was hard. And then I would lose some. It's really hard to lose weight though. So it would just come off like a pound or so a year, which is no lie. But over the last 3 years, with health issues that for me came about from largely stress, all of my autoimmune stuff came to the surface. And that's when I really seen everything else kind of go downhill. So my mobility was in the toilet. By the time I had my surgery, I was walking with a cane. I kept hurting my knee. I had an orthopedic surgeon tell me that he wouldn't treat me because of my age and because of my weight. And from there, I finally, not in a rude way, but I asked him, I'm like, what would you have me do? I used to do CrossFit. I used to work out all the time. I don't eat that poorly. Yeah, I would go to McDonald's, and I was really an avid pop drinker. But those weren't enough to be like, you shouldn't treat me like a second class citizen because I'm overweight and I'm seeking help. So he's the one that actually recommended or asked me if I had ever thought about weight loss surgery. And I said, I have thought about it, but I don't know much about it, I would be really happy to have a referral so that I can investigate it further. And so that began my journey. And my journey through my program was a 6 month program, 6 month process. And I was really kind of happy about that. And not everybody says that, um, because you just want to do it. But it prepared me mentally for the things that I would need to change. Giving up pop soda. Um, the fact that I was going to have to live my life entirely differently from there on out. And it also gave me the opportunity to investigate which surgery that I would prefer to have my team tell me if they were in agreement with that, because there are some differences. I chose gastric bypass because I suffered with reflux really bad. And they recommend that for those patients. And I have to say, since my surgery, I don't get heartburn anymore, which is amazing. Because I was really suffering there for a while. I couldn't eat red sauces, ketchup, anything like that. Anything acidic would just kill me. So went through my whole program, which included physical therapy, dietitian appointments, therapy appointments with a psychiatrist, and a lot of homework, a lot of investigating things, and had my surgery on November 2nd of 2022. So I just celebrated my 6 month surgiversary, as we call it. I think a lot of people are under the misunderstanding that weight loss surgery is the easy way out, that you're cheating, things like that. But I have to tell you that if you have tried everything and you are mentally prepared, I do, in my situation, highly recommend it. I wouldn't have regained my health without it. Um, so that's been really good. By the time I had my surgery, I was walking with a cane. I actually didn't want to walk anywhere, because it was so painful. I mean, 24-hour a day pain from head to toe was excruciating. And I was doing some things to help myself out. I had Kylene, who was on my podcast doing yoga. I had asked her about chair yoga, and so she developed a program. So I attribute having what strength I did to yoga and to Kylene. So I'm very thankful for that. Also, I do a lot of like mindset stuff with her and some others, through tapping, which is it's emotional freedom technique, and we get together 3 mornings a week to do that. And I also have an app on my phone, so if there's something I'm needing, or if I just need to stop some thought processes, I can go do a short tapping, and it's tapping on the acupressure points and going through a meditation. And it's just very, very helpful. I found that. So, and I'd already been started in therapy, because I had several deaths within a short period of time before I even thought about weight loss surgery. And so I continue that to this day. I really click with my therapist. I had purposefully asked the insurance company for names of people who did therapy on Zoom, so I could do it from the privacy of my own home, or I can go to the office. And I also chose to go out of my small town. So I go to Mankato. Those are just personal choices for me that helped me. And I actually did get to go meet Hannah a couple of appointments ago, just because I was going to be in the Mankato area, and it was nice to actually see her in person. But one thing that COVID did for me is that it opened up my world to being able to have relationships with others that are far away. So after surgery, I became very involved in the bariatric community on TikTok, and I am now like have such great friends and support through them on TikTok. And in the first weekend in June, I'm actually going to a bariatric meetup in Chicago and going to get to meet some of my people in real life. Not that the computer isn't real life, but there's just gonna be something about giving them a hug, things like that. So my journey very much is about health, and my weight, it was a huge part of that, mental health and mobility. So now 6 months post-op, I've lost 86.6 pounds. And I've dropped a couple of sizes, but I guess in my mind, I thought that I would be maybe more. But I'm actually okay with where I'm at. 86 pounds is a huge number, and your body kind of has to get used to that. Um, the process of getting well has not necessarily been an easy one. I had some setbacks that weren't even surgery related. I ended up having diverticulitis and a bowel blockage. And then I had a colon perforation, which I ended up in the hospital. I spent 2 additional weeks in the hospital because of complications. And then I did have a kidney stone, which was related to gastric bypass surgery because I was not getting enough fluid intake and I became dehydrated and caused a kidney stone. So now we're working with that and to prevent it. So we're watching my labs. I'm going to see a nephrologist here in a few months, and it's all in an effort to stay well and eventually not have to go to the doctor, not have to take meds. Since surgery, I have gotten completely off of blood pressure medication. My second blood pressure medication actually ended this week after I seen my primary care physician. And my cholesterol levels are amazing, which is fantastic because they did not look very good prior to surgery. So there's been so many positives that have come through it that even the negatives and the hard bumps in the road, they've been worth it. And now if something happens, I'm just like, okay, it's just a bump in the road. We can get through this. We can do hard things, that type of thing. So tools I used prior to surgery were therapy and yoga and tapping. Then I had the surgery and I'm continuing with yoga and therapy. And therapy just helps with the body dysmorphia because sometimes you can look in the mirror and see the person that you've seen for years. And that's not a true representation. So I use a lot of side-by-side pictures, comparisons. I do measurements, and I recommend that for anybody is to do your measurements because you can actually see getting smaller. The scale is still a good tool, but it's not necessarily a good indicator of where you're actually at, because if you're working out, you could be gaining muscle. If you're needing to go to the bathroom, that could add a couple pounds. You could be retaining fluid. So I try not to focus on the scale. Yes, I do weigh, but I don't like weigh incessantly like I once did. I use it as a gauge of how I'm doing, but I use it as a gauge in conjunction with those other tools, which has been healthier for me. It's not always easy. Another tool that I use are NSVs, non-scale victories. So the first time I dropped a pant size, being able to fit in the movie theater seats was fantastic. We love going to the movies, but I hated going to the movies in our town because the seats had to like wedge myself in there and I was uncomfortable. So it was terrible. And going an hour north to go to a movie just seemed really silly when they had the big comfy seats. So now I'm really happy that I can fit into the regular movie theater seats. Being able to drive without the steering wheel hitting my stomach has also been an amazing thing. So other tools that I use now are all those things that I mentioned, plus networking with other people on TikTok and Facebook and those in real life. I've had people reach out to me that have told me that they've had weight loss surgery. I just happen to be very open about my journey, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to keep it private. But for me, as the podcast indicates, inspire, collaborate, and encourage. If I can help anyone with their journey, then that makes me happy. And I also am much better about realizing that I can do hard things and realizing that if I need to rest, I need to rest, and there's no shame in that. I can't pour from an empty cup. I tell myself that all the time. And I figured out from an exercise that I've been working on in a master's group, of my why statement, that I don't like focusing on myself. I would much rather help others. But Aaron, who is our facilitator, he told me, he's like, but you need to focus on yourself so that you have something to give. And that was very eye opening for me. I may have thrown a little temper tantrum in my head of, but I don't want to do it. But it has been very eye opening, to learn that, okay, I matter. It can't always be about everyone else. Hi, Chuck. How are you? So that's been amazing. And I guess my master's group has really helped me as well. So that's another tool I use as well, because we talk about some mindset stuff. We collaborate together to help each other out in our businesses, and it's just a very healthy relationship. The other thing that I've just started recently is using accountability partners. My main one is my friend Becky. I get up daily and call her at 5:30. This morning was a little bit of a fail on my part because I called and woke her up, and then I'm like, oh, I just need 10 more minutes. I didn't get up and work out, but it's okay. I'm giving myself grace to not worry about it. I'll do some sort of a workout tonight and enjoy it, and we'll go from there. I obviously needed the extra rest. Um, Accountability partners also can be groups of people. There is a group on TikTok who my friend Sherry, and she was on here a while ago. Um, Her and her husband created MOBA, and it's a clothing brand, but it's also kind of a philosophy. It stands for Master of Badassery, and it's being a badass in your health, your finances, your everyday life, your work life, whatever. And she has a challenge that is almost daily. It used to be twice a day, but things, it can be a bit much. But we get together and we do a short workout together. And some of us are up on the panel on TikTok, and some of us are just in the chat, but we're doing something. And at the end of that, we say, what's one thing we can do today or have done today that will move us forward to tomorrow? So it's just a really good way to acknowledge that we can still do things that will move us forward um, in our day-to-day lives. For me, I use Choose, which at the beginning of this podcast, you've seen the Choose store. Choose, that word has gotten me through a lot of tough times. I choose what I need as often as I need it. So when Jay had his heart attack, I chose happy. I might do that every 5 minutes. I chose to be brave. I chose joy, chose gratitude, even during the scary times. Recently, what I choose is intention. I intentionally make sure I have my water. I apologize for the little mouthy little girl. Um, I choose to hydrate. I choose what I need to eat. I choose to make sure I'm getting enough protein in, that I'm getting my vitamins, and doing things for myself that are needed. Some days I choose focus, because one of the things I'm struggling with is, as I go through this journey, I'm focusing more on myself as well as work and family and things of that nature. And it makes my brain go haywire. It's like squirrel brain all the time. So some days I just choose focus, that, okay, if I get overwhelmed, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to look at my list, and then we're going to start over. And so that's been very, very helpful as well. This podcast got reestablished a month or so ago, because I was happy and energized to do it again. And I'm really glad I did. I'm still struggling to be proactive in finding guests and topics and things like that. But it made me feel really good today when someone said, I'm really looking forward to your podcast today. What's the topic going to be on? And I'm like, well, I wasn't sure. And so then I decided to do it anyway and just have it be me and a guest appearance by Miss Asia Grace. Another tool that I use is my watch. This having a visual of how many steps I'm taking, if I've closed my rings, things like that has been very helpful for me because I'm a very visual person. And then just talking to people, being honest about how I'm feeling, being a resource for others, but also kind of balancing that too, so that it's not so overwhelming. It's all a learning process, and my journey is by far not over. I will continue to check in with my team, monitor the weight loss, see if there's anything, going on that needs to be changed. Um, all that, all that kind of stuff. And then choose to do things as I can to move myself forward. Right now I'm working out at home, taking walks, taking the dogs for walks. But by next fall, winter, I plan to be back at the gym, and starting to do more like strength training and things like that. Um, I would really like to go back to CrossFit one day. We'll see if my heels allow that. I do have some issues with my heels that will require surgery, or we're hoping that it will kind of rectify itself with continued weight loss. So things can quickly spiral your health out of control, and weight is definitely one of those. I was heading down a path of I was pre-diabetic. My cholesterol was horrible. My heart was good. We had that checked. But the autoimmune, chronic pain, chronic fatigue stuff was very debilitating for me. And so between Jay's heart stuff and my stuff, we weren't really living anymore. And so I'm really looking forward to being outside this summer, doing more things, being able um, to go and see family more often, because we had kind of all pretty much stopped that. Um, so I want you to remember that you can't pour from an empty cup. You need to take care of yourself. If you're thinking about having this surgery, reach out to me. I will tell you that it's not for everybody. And you have to be ready to have it. Um, One last note before I hop off of here is that my friend Laura passed away from COVID a little over a year ago. And she was in the process of um, she was seeing a bariatric team to have surgery. I don't think she was ready. And I was really upset with her for quite a while, because I didn't feel like she was taking care of herself. And shame on me for making that judgment. Um, would her health have been greatly improved had it? Yeah, but she also had a lot of other comorbidities too that were weighing against her. So it's very unfair of me to judge. And that was a really big, big lesson over the last year and a half. And I was actually talking to somebody on TikTok on a live earlier today, and that kind of clicked in for me, because my friend on TikTok is experiencing some massive wins in her journey, and I'm so proud of her. And she reminds me of my friend Laura, and I realized that today too. So Lindsay, thank you for helping me realize um, that I was wrong. I was being very judgmental, and that was unfair to Laura, even after she's passed away, of holding on to that. Um, there's tons of other things you can do for weight loss. There's new medications. I just encourage anyone who's struggling with their weight not to let it go, because it can be very detrimental to your health. It can cause a lot of diseases. It can just bring you down mentally. So talk to your doctor if you're having any of that. I always encourage people to see a therapist if they need to. There's no harm in that. Some people don't believe in them, and that's fine. That's fine. I just think that it's a very helpful tool that if you're struggling with things. I had never sought therapy myself, and I probably should have at a much younger age. But seeking therapy now over the last couple of years has definitely helped my mental health. The other thing that I do is I tend to gravitate towards people who are like-minded to me. They want to see growth in their life. They want to be positive. I don't do well if I'm around someone who's negative all the time because I tend to go very negative. I'm very empathetic, so I take on other people's emotions or whatever they're giving off. So not that I don't have friends in all walks of life. It just seems like my closer friends are those that are maybe not even on the same path, but they have the same attitude of gratitude. Every day I say 5 things that I'm grateful for, and it could be something as simple as Asia Grace. Even though she makes me crazy, she is wonderful at snuggling and making me feel better. Because I'm grateful that the sun is out today. I'm grateful for this podcast. So things like that just make you aware of the fact that your life has good things in it. Things might feel like they're crashing down around you, but um, if you can recognize some good, it does really, really help. And I'm so glad that I sought out yoga. I never thought that I would be able to do yoga, but seeing the strides I'm making there as well has been fantastic. I've went from being able to not move out of the chair and do yoga to now doing some standing poses and balance things and being able to hold the poses longer. And I feel strong, which is really, really amazing. This little nugget is a great sense of love and joy as well, even though she's very insistent on giving kisses and sometimes yelling at me. So that's all I have for now. If you ever have any questions or if I can help at all, please reach out. Also, if you have a topic you would like to see me cover or someone that you would like to see on the show, or if you yourself want to be on the podcast, I do it typically on Thursdays at 4:30. That might be changing because my friend Kylene changed her podcast to 5 o'clock on Thursdays for a scheduling thing. And I'm not tied into this time. It's just the time we've always done it. So I wish you all a very happy Thursday. Have a wonderful weekend and choose something that makes you happy and choose it as often as you need to hear it. Thank you very much and have a great night.